one of my family members said to me, and it just devastated me, like before my wedding. She's like, why are we going through all this hoopla for something that's going to last 2 years anyway?
Mhm.
And I was just kind of like, how dare she say that?
Wow.
But that has been the experience in my family, right? That
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Look, if you're looking to or you got to raise the bar on your marriage, you gotta click the link and get into Married into Crazy, y'all. I'm telling you, this coaching is gonna take your relationship to another level. Now look, you already know you need to raise the bar. You know that already. So stop thinking or overthinking. Click that link, and Marriage into Crazy is gonna take you and your spouse to marital bliss. Now you know. Click the button. Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And as you all know, from time to time, we like to bring on really unique, incredible couples. And as you've discovered, there's times where we're just not able to get, because of schedules, logistics, we talk to people from all over the world. And speaking of all over the world, there's a couple that we met in Jamaica back in 2018,
2021.
Last year.
Eh?
2021.
Okay, time out. That's just proof that he has another family. He keeps acting like he doesn't have another family, but you don't even know when we went to Jamaica.
Now, you know what it was? I was posting some stuff earlier about
clean it up.
things we
Go
did
ahead.
with ET, and I was talking 2018, 2019 all day long.
Whatever.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah,
My bad.
Yeah,
No worries.
let your other wife know that you messed up, okay?
For my other family out there listening, I'm sorry. I just can't get it straight.
no, he didn't.
No, hey, I want to welcome Chris and Nitra Word to the podcast. Can you go ahead and say hello?
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Yes.
No, it really has been a long time coming. We went to Jamaica back in
Last
2021.
year. Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but it feels like it was in 2018, 2019.
It does.
It does.
But
does.
no matter where we went in Jamaica, we're on this resort, we're walking around, and we saw this young couple
Mhm.
with this beautiful baby.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And when she was smiling, all we could think about was like, oh my God. She reminded us of our daughter, who's now 22, and she's in the terrible 22s. But all we could think was like, oh my God, that smile.
Her eyes.
And we just had to talk to you guys. And we're so grateful that you took the time to talk with us there.
Yeah, that I wasn't the crazy lady, because I mean everywhere I was like, oh, there's the baby again. And they were so gracious and let me like just say hi baby. And then one day we just started talking. So yeah.
Funny story. We were looking forward to Jamaica. We were excited to take our daughter to Jamaica. She was less than 1 year old at the time. And then when we got there, it really became parenting in another country. It wasn't like we had a vacation. There was no nightlife. There was nothing grand or glorious about it. We were just parenting in another country. So when you all saw us, it was in our 8-hour window where we were able to be outside of our room. But no, it was great. It was an honor to meet you all.
That's so funny.
Oh, that is so funny. And so much has changed since then.
Yes.
Yes.
So look, I'm not going to give any intros. I'd love for both of you to kind of tell the audience who you are, a little backstory, like what you do.
Okay.
Actually, especially Chris, I want you to definitely talk about what you did and what you're doing now, because I
Okay.
think it's pretty amazing.
I'll give an introduction of ourselves. So I'm Chris Word. I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois, and my wife Nitra is from Miami, Florida. And I say that because just two different cities where we grew up and were raised. And then we both got into accounting. We both got into public accounting, not knowing each other. And we moved to DC and joined the same company on the same day. And that was in 2010.
And you've been stuck with me ever since.
That's her version of the story. That's her version of the story. And so we are accountants by trade, and for a period of time, we actually worked together. Like she would be sitting maybe 3 more feet away from me, and we worked like this for years, dating, engaged, and everything. We were this close.
Wow.
So we're very used to being in the same company of each other and working together, and then walking away, getting upset, and then saying, I'll see you at the house. And so we've done that for many years, but now we are married. We just reached our 7-year anniversary. We have a 2-year-old daughter, or almost 2-year-old daughter, and our second daughter on the way. So we have a real girl dad over here, 2 girls.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's
And
okay.
so now,
Shed that tear, Nitra. I know.
right. So now what he mentioned is I'm a very passionate golfer. I am just passionate. That's my therapy. That's where I go for my free time. That's where I go to meet mentors and friends and just get some time away. And I turned that passion into a business. So last year in 2021, just before we went to Jamaica, we started Greenwood Golf. Greenwood.golf is our website. And I started the company because when you watch the PGA tournaments, when you think of the PGA, you think of a certain type of a golf player.
Mhm.
But when I go and play golf, I see a completely different experience. And I wanted to create a brand that represented my experience on the golf course. The guys that I see, the jokes, the good times, the memories, the therapy, the mentorship, all of that camaraderie. I wanted to create a brand that represented that. So that's why we created Greenwood Golf.
Okay, that's
Where we
awesome.
are.
Go ahead. I think I cut you off.
Introduce myself too.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Everything. You said everything. What can I add to that?
Talk about our first date or our first, time of hanging out.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask you, I wanted to know how did no, okay, first Nitra, still introduce yourself and
Well, I am Nitra Word. I am from Miami, Florida, where we're actually filming from today.
Yes,
So that's pretty
yes.
cool. Home visiting family.
okay.
And I am a CPA by trade. Right now, I work in the banking industry. But for the longest time, Chris and I were consultants, and we worked hand in hand and toured the world. We were traveling consultants. So we didn't have any address. We just went from state to state to state, doing projects. And that was a really cool part of our lives. But now we're settled down in Charlotte and just trying to get adjusted to motherhood, being a wife, expecting 2 under 2. This is going to be a real challenge. And getting into that, but loving every part of it along the way. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's awesome though. That I didn't know that you guys actually travel like you said. You didn't really have a home base. You just kind of you're like, oh, we got another project. Okay, let's go. So I mean, when we say jet set, you were really jet
We're
setting.
jet setters.
Oh yes.
At one point, we lived in the Marriott for like 2 years.
2 years in New Jersey.
On like one project.
Yeah.
We just lived in the Marriott for 2 years.
Okay.
Wow.
Lived in the Marriott. I send my mail, my Amazon packages to the Marriott.
Yeah.
I pick it up when I
Okay,
walk.
I'm the silly one.
Wow.
So I ask silly questions.
Okay.
So what you're telling us is that you guys worked for the same company. Were you guys working the same projects and traveling?
For a period of time.
For those 2 years we were
Yes.
in New Jersey.
Yes.
And we would sit, like my cube was here and his cube was on the other side.
Yes.
And we would have to go to meetings together in conference rooms, the 2 of us.
This
Yeah.
is dating and engaged, working on the same project.
That's what I'm talking about on the company dime. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
We were.
That's
Helped
what he
us
got
pay
out of that.
Yes.
We should have did that. Anyway.
No,
ask-
anyway, okay, so you guys, as Chris mentioned, you guys started at the same company on the same day.
Mhm.
So how did it go from co-workers or whatever? I mean, give me all of it.
She was on me from day one. When the elevator doors opened, I was coming down to the lobby trying to find my group. It's first day, trying to find out where we should go for orientation. And there's this guy staring at me as I'm walking off the elevator. I'm like, that's so weird. Who is he? I don't know if he's with our group or not, but I'm just going to go find where I'm going. Then came to realize later that day when we're sitting at the conference table, he takes a seat right next to me and introduces himself. So I was like, oh, okay. This is nice.
Open seat. That's all I'm saying about that. The seat was open.
Next to me. Okay.
And he ain't left.
Friends for like the first 2 or 3 years while we worked for the company. And we started dating in 2013.
Yes.
Is when we actually first started dating. And I had just recently got out of a relationship. And by this time we were buddies. We were like work buddies.
Okay.
He was like, you should come down and visit. He had a job in he was working in Louisiana at the time.
Louisiana.
And I came down to visit for a weekend and I was like, we should go skydiving. And so we signed up and we went skydiving. And ever since that day,
the things we do.
ever since that day, I swear, when I came down out of the air, he grabbed me like it was the end of the world. I was like, I don't know you like that. Like, why are you hugging me?
I just jumped out of a plane, 10,000 feet in the air. I'm hugging the first thing I see.
And we started dating from that point.
Well, actually, after that weekend, we were still friends, platonic friends that weekend. And she left that Sunday, drove her to the airport that Sunday. And I was like, let's see. I mean, I feel like there's something here, but let's see. Let's give it a couple months. And then we'll touch base in like January and see where things are. Because maybe she went back or maybe whatever happened, let's give it some time and see if this really blossoms. And here we are 7-8 years later from that point.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is amazing. First off, I agree with Chris. Look, if I jump out of a plane for you, we gonna hug.
We're gonna hug. You get what I'm saying? We're gonna hug.
I'm like, is he crazy? What's going on right now?
So Nitra is the crazy one.
We both, and throughout our relationship, we've done some pretty adventurous things, from just like zip lining all over the place, and the walking, the ropes course that we would do.
Yeah.
And we've just been adventurous, outdoor activities, and so that's been a big part. Now when I see my daughter and she's jumping off the couch, I'm like, I think I know where you get that from.
Hey man,
I think I know where you get that.
I love
That's
that.
so cool. I'll have to apologize to Lovey right now because I'm not doing any of that stuff. So
See, I was thinking too, that was my window of opportunity. Be like, oh, there's a ropes course over here at the local state college. And I thought,
have fun with that because I'm not going.
No, why not?
Now we can put you on belay and everything. It's easy. I've done it before.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. No.
I'll do it with my other family.
I'm sure that's probably how you met them.
You picking fights. I'm not in that. I'm not in that.
It's like, so it's Nitra's fault. She started this.
Oh wow.
No,
That's
this
so funny.
That is amazing. So okay, so even with your careers kind of in tandem with each other, how was it that you were able to navigate? Because look, we have different careers, but we come together, we podcast, we coach, we do a lot together. And even in doing that cross section, sometimes it gets difficult. Sometimes the line gets blurred, and it's difficult to maintain some ambiguity between the relationship and the work relationship. How have you two been able to manage that, working so closely together since day one?
It's still now, because post-pandemic, we both kind of work from home, so we sit next to each other every day. But I'm used to it at this point. But how do we navigate that?
I think the biggest thing is we never reported to each other, or there weren't. I had my role, she had her role. We were working on the same projects, but we weren't working hand in hand. So there was never a moment where I had to give a task or she had to report to me or report to her.
In our roles.
And just kind of keeping that line where that's where it was. When I think about it, it's like, man, that is crazy that we're able to
But
do that.
sometimes it was hard when we had disagreements at home that, now we have to go into work and you can't carry that in the workplace. I feel like it was a switch that turned off. I feel like when we got to work, we never carried that in. We still communicated and act like coworkers, but then after work, it's like the switch turned back on and everything that happened.
The argument isn't over.
The
argument isn't over, but let's talk about this PowerPoint slide.
Exactly, that's how it was.
Get back to that later on.
That's how it was. And in close quarters in the hotel, we had some major disagreements. So it was interesting.
I think our friendship, one of the biggest things is that it's rooted in the friendship. Our relationship is rooted in the friendship. That 2 years, 2.5, 3 years where, I told her my secrets, I know her secrets, and we were just friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's still the foundation of our relationship. And we go through marriage things, but at the end of the day, I still see her as a friend. And I think that was one of the biggest parts of that.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
It really is. It truly is. And I think and we've worked on this with some of our couples, is that people think that love is enough. And all the songs tell us that, Brian McKnight's been telling us for years,
Right.
And it's one of those things where love is beautiful, love is grand, and the Bible even goes into it, love is this, love is that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, I don't want to call it the fairy tale, but I think that the farce to a certain extent is that it's enough, because there's some times where something needs to be able to stand up when love isn't enough. And when you're having those disagreements and like you said, there could be some heated debates, some heated disagreements.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And your friendship has to stand in the gap.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
There's been moments where you doubt, you question, you wonder if and whether or not you make the right decision, because and it could be something so small, and for whatever reason, it's just a big argument, and nothing that you say or do it seems like it's working. But I really do believe we have each other's best interests at heart. It's just we're not hearing each other in that moment. Like, I'm trying to think about what you would say and what you would want in this moment. You're trying to give me what I want, but we're not listening to each other, because I know what you said is right or true, but that's not what you want. And you end up arguing about that. And it's like, why? Because we still want what's best for both of us, but we're arguing about it.
Communication.
Yes.
When people say communication is the key, that is a real statement. I feel like over the 7 years, our communication styles had to evolve. It was different when we were engaged. It was different when we first got married and we were in the fairy tale stage and everything was great. And then we went so many years without children. You put children into the mix and it becomes a whole different relationship, and you have to figure out a whole new path of how to navigate it and communication. And I think, we got in arguments, we got in disagreements, but I would say I'm glad that we did, because we kept talking and we worked through it. I think the part that gets scary is when you just stop talking and you don't want to work through it, So long as we continue to do that, I'm good.
Right.
Then I'll add one other piece to that, because, and it's something small, but I think it still resonates in our vows. And we both said the same words. I am committed to experience life with you. Versus like, I love you in this moment, or I love who you are in this moment. I'm marrying you, or I'm committed to experience life.
Yes.
And we wrote that because you evolve over life. And as you evolve, as your relationship evolve, I'm committing that I'm going to be there to experience that with you, versus trying to hold you to who you were at that point in time. Because we're never that person anymore. Hopefully for the good, sometimes for the bad, but we're never that person anymore. So those words resonate in me in those moments. I did say that, You're right. I did say that.
They just said no comment.
No comment.
There was something that you said earlier, Chris, that I think is very key too, especially in the midst of an argument. You said that we have each other's best interests. A lot of times arguments are because I don't feel like you have my best interest. I feel like you're just about you and I'm just about me. But if I know that you at all times you have my best interest, and you know that at all times I have your best interest. What we argue about, it will be, it's almost like the argument just kind of dissipated after that, because I know that you are not in it to hurt me. You're not trying to be foul or anything, So
Right.
if we can remember that we have each other's best interest at all times, even when, like you said, God, I hate saying he's right,
Exactly.
I think that's key. That's something that we need to remember all the time. You got my best interest,
Right.
So, and then that makes me trust you. Even when I don't agree with what you're saying, okay, I trust you. I'm going to let you go on and go see your other family, or,
I was going to say, she has my best interest, except for those times where she reaches across the table to grab some of my French fries.
Ooh.
When I explicitly asked, did you want some?
He loves to bring that up. It's like, did you want something? I don't want a whole hamburger. I don't want a whole order of fries. Just a little bit. So, I mean, you can't share. We teach our children that, right? That's one of the first rules we teach. You have to learn how to share.
Unless it has to deal with hamburgers and French fries. At that point, it's Velociraptor City. It's like, it's yours.
I just did that yesterday, so I'm not going to say
anything. Let me tell my story. So we're out here in Miami, and we just soldiering through. It's hot. She's pregnant, daughter in the car, family rides with us, and we needed gas. So I'm driving, and I pull over to the gas station. And as I'm pulling in, I say, I'm going to pump gas. I'm going to go in. Anybody need anything? I pull up. I get out. Anybody need anything? No, I'm good. No, I'm good. You sure? Anybody need anything? That's the third time. No, I'm good. So I go in.
I didn't say I was thirsty though, right?
And here I am thinking, all right, I got a pregnant wife who says she doesn't need anything. I'm wanting a juice, so let me get a juice. I'm gonna get a water. I think I'm gonna get a tea and some chips for our daughter to snack on just in case she wants to snack. Get back in the car, hand her the bag. She hands me the juice. I open it. I sit it in the console. I pull off. Who's drinking my juice? I mean, literally just hitting the juice.
It was the baby.
The baby needed it.
We driving on the highway. She's like, "Oh, you want some? What? Oh man, no, it's okay. You can have it. Just hand me the water, man."
Funny.
I was 100% on Team Chris up until she said the baby, and I was like, "Oh, that's right. There's a baby."
That's right.
I was like, "Okay, maybe."
Right? Can't be mad. You just gotta.
My bad.
She said, "My bad."
Well, but that's
funny.
There's certain nuances to the relationship, right? This is the part of the evolving, and it's funny for some individuals that right there turned into a weekend-long argument.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the goal ultimately is to ensure that, it's a moment. That's it. Moments are fleeting. Let it be a moment and keep it moving.
Exactly. That's great.
And Chris is really good about that. I had to give you a compliment before we got to Miami. He's just really good about picking up the pieces and going. We were on Friday going to the airport at Charlotte trying to get here, and we were late. We were rushing, and there was a glass bottle in the back, and he's trying to drop us off at the airport so we can hurry up and get in line. He can go park the car. I dropped the glass bottle on the floor, so there's glass, everywhere. He's like, "I got it. I'll pick it up." I'm like, "Okay," and I just rush and go, and then we missed our flight, and the next flight only had one standby seat, so I was like, "I'll take it, and I'll take the baby," and I didn't really even kind of convey that to Chris, it's okay if I take that flight, you take the later flight. But he's just such a trooper as a husband, just be like, you just go, and whatever you need me to support you in this moment, I got it. He's going to pick up the glass. He's going to park the car, drop us off. If he has to take the later flight, you guys go ahead. And he's just always been so great about that in a partner. So I had to tell him, I just
appreciate
really appreciate that.
And this is recorded. Oh, man.
A lot of people you know, that series of events for the day could have been stressful to some other husbands,
Right.
and maybe they would have, you know, acted totally different,
Mhm.
but you didn't lose patience at all. So I appreciate that.
It's what it is at a certain point. Just gotta roll with it.
And that's the truth. And as you pointed out, Chris, yes, this is recorded. If you like, I can talk to my
Right,
my
let's get that whole
my guy. I can get a little clip just to that part right there.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You know, I do have a question. So it's one of those things where we all, I talked before about marriage being a baton, or at least the concept of marriage. That's a
Mhm.
baton that's passed down from generations. Sometimes not, sometimes yes. Or the concept, the baton being maybe it's, you know, single parenthood, maybe it's, you know, two parents in a home, but something's always passed to the youth,
Mhm.
and we carry it without really knowing why we're carrying it. It was just given to us.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's in the form of advice. And I'm curious as to each of you, I'd love to hear both of you give a response. What is the worst marriage advice that you were given prior to, you don't have to bust nobody out and say who it was, but what was the worst advice that was given to you? Or you know what, rather than let me change it up. What is the advice that was given to you that you found through your experiences? You two have been experiencing life together
Mhm.
that did not hold up to be true, and you had to develop your own. So something that was given to you and that you've discovered together, like, nah, that don't fly in our relationship.
Ooh, I'll say this, and it's probably a cheat answer, but it's really a lot of the preconceived thoughts of what a husband is.
Mm.
And you think it's this man that stumps around the house and demands food and pays the bills, and he's just like this person or this image, this thought. But I do laundry, I wash dishes, I check the mail. Like I say that because what I found, let me say this, speak for myself. What I found in my relationship is you just got to do it. Like it has to be done. And there's no real definition of what it is. If we're a team and she's pregnant, she doesn't feel like it, that doesn't mean that it doesn't get done. Then I have to do it. And I have to hope, you know, trusting that she has my best interest at heart, is that when I don't feel like it or she sees something that needs to be done, she'll do the same. So if I do my part and I trust that she does her part, then we should be okay. And so to answer your question, I would just say, Belle, the expectation of this is what a man is or husband is not what I found works in our relationship.
Mm.
And I have to say, I'm going to pivot a little bit on that question. I feel like I didn't really get a lot of marriage advice, but I don't have a lot of married people in my family. And I remember there was one comment one of my family members said to me, and it just devastated me, like before my wedding. She's like, why are we going through all this hoopla for something that's going to last 2 years anyway?
Mhm.
And I was just kind of like, how dare she say that?
Wow.
But that has been the experience in my family, right? That people get married, people don't stay married, and it just wasn't something to be seen. So did I get a lot of marriage advice? You know, not really. I feel like we had to create our rules on our own. And I was just determined to be like, you know, I want a marriage. I want a real marriage and I want to make this work. And maybe it was great that I didn't have a playbook, because I'm just going to do whatever works for us.
Right.
And whatever we need to do to make it work, we're going to make it work. So glad to say we passed the 2-year mark.
I'm sorry, I would have been petty and been like, remember what you said at year 3? I'm like, remember what you said? Yeah, we passed that.
Right.
I remember that. I remember
It just hurt my
hearing that.
feelings. Yeah. So
Mhm.
just
You know,
different experiences.
it's funny, even just thinking about that. I was on the phone with a cousin of my cousin, and we were just talking about things that have happened in our family, and kind of like what you just said, they're passed on to us and we don't even know why. We still carry it. So you talk about breaking curses and, you know, setting your own expectations. And just like you said too, it's probably is really good that you weren't giving a playbook, because if no one has succeeded past 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or whatever, then if they give you a playbook, you kind of giving me a losing playbook, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna write our own thing. We're gonna do it our own way, and y'all gonna sit back and y'all gonna watch us. So that's good.
It is.
And so when I have friends or people that are married, my words to them are, only advice I'm going to give you is just figure out whatever works for you too. Like cut all the other nonsense out and just sit down with your wife and figure out, or your husband, and figure out what works for you too. That's the best way that you're going to survive. Because if you're coming in saying, this is what I think a marriage is, or you should do, and I should do, and that person's coming in saying, this is what a marriage is, and this is what I should do. If those two don't sync up, then you're going to be arguing about expectations versus reality, and you're never going to get there. So you just got to start with, what can I do for you? And this is what you can do for me.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I always give Lovey a hard time, like when you're saying you do laundry and stuff. He's just not allowed to do the laundry as he used to do the laundry, and I'm like, it just feels different when he does it. So,
That's about me, so I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just
so I'm just like, I'll do it
when they come out the job.
Oh, did you like you leave the chicken in the oven too long, or did you dry it extra or something? Because it's not soft, and But one thing that he does all the time, he always makes sure that I'm okay. And it's like you said, figure out what it is that makes it work for the two of you. He's, like I said, no laundry for Lovey, but he always makes sure that do you need anything? Are you okay? Blah, 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 whatever. The biggest compliment that I think I felt like we've ever received for him was our girls. And they were talking, they're like, well, Dad's very protective of you anyway. Like, so they know Dad got my back. So don't come at me kind of crazy or anything. Because they were like, because Dad's going to get mad if we bother you. Or I'm like, it's okay. You guys can come talk to me. No, Mom, Dad said, leave you alone. So, so Dad's very protective of Mom. And that's one thing that I'm like, that's what's up. They see that. And they always say, I want a man like Dad. Probably one that don't talk as much, but I want a man like that.
It's interesting that, and I've said this a gazillion times, and relationships, I mean, we all have our own, and I love it the way you put it, Chris. We all have our own marital DNA. And unfortunately, people want it to be cloned. And there's no such thing as cloning a marriage. Because I truly believe that a marriage is truly a living organism. Our marriage is an organism. That's why we talk about breathing life into your marriage. A marriage dies. All this, we use all these phrases with it when we're talking about a being, and I truly believe that, because our DNA, what works for us, might be cute to somebody else, but it might not work for you guys. And there might be portions of it or nuances of it that you can take. So even in our coaching, when we coach couples, we tell you, like, this is what worked for us, but we're not saying it's going to work for you. These are just some lessons, some resources, some tools that we've come across that have been beneficial for us. You're going to have to figure out how to use it in your own manner, because your organism is different from our organism.
Exactly.
And I think that the more and more couples that recognize that and quit trying to have a marriage like your auntie and your uncle, or like your parents or your girlfriend, or your boys. It's instead of trying to model that's too much like Instagram.
Exactly. That is true.
That's a
I
good
want it to
point.
be like that. I'm like, okay, that was a snapshot, because you didn't see what happened once you got in your car and drove off.
Exactly. Exactly. That it looked nice in the picture, but then when you see all the work that they did to make that picture,
Right.
That's what you really want.
Yes, exactly.
Amen. It's that iceberg, right? We see about 10% that's above water, and that's so beautiful. That's so majestic. I want that. And they don't see the other 90% beneath the surface of the water.
That's exactly it.
All the jagged edges and all. Yeah. So listen to the words. Word.
Listen to the words.
And nothing like those ride homes from those dinners when you be like, oh man, did you see that?
Oh, truth. Snooks is like, okay, look, I'm just telling you right now, we cannot hang out with them ever again.
Ever. Ever.
She's like, I don't care what you say. She's like, small doses.
Ever.
Right.
You sit there like, oh, I'm like, can we go now? Can we go now?
The nudge under the table. The nudge under the table. Did you get that? Did you get that? I got it.
Right.
I got it.
That's heckin' funny.
But that's true. I mean, we've got to guard who we let around our
That's it.
marriages as well.
Yeah.
That's true. So true.
You know
So
what?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy going to the golf course. Not because I love the game, because I do, but the guys that I play with, we talk about this a lot, and I find myself getting a lot of wisdom from the older guys that I play with. I mean, they're 30 years older than me, and they give me a lot of wisdom. But part of that is it's freeing to talk to someone when you don't feel like you're competing with them. And you could just ask a question, or you could just get advice versus talking to a friend or someone on your same age or career or whatever. And you feel like it's a competition, or I can't really open up because it's going to come back around.
Right.
And I regret saying that. So I say that because that's why I get poured into by other more mature men who've been through it, because they can give me wisdom and I can just receive it without questioning its authenticity.
Right. Worrying about. That's right.
That's good stuff.
They're gonna tell their wives, and their wives gonna tell my wife, and then I'm be like, man, I shouldn't have said that. Oh,
Nitra gonna be waiting for you at the door. So
Exactly.
what was you talking about?
exactly.
And that's an investment in time. I mean, I think I joked with you and who was I talking to? I'm trying to think who it was, but I think we were in a text string.
Yes.
And I said I got to pick up my clubs again because it's been a minute since I've actually done that. And the biggest challenge for me has been the time commitment to get out there on the course. And I was like, so how do you guys manage that? Because I know that it's at least a 4-hour investment.
It is. And I get right now about around a week, and I try to move that during the week when I can. And I know it's a strain, but with everything we have going on, it's important to me. Like when I don't play or don't have that time, it really builds up. And she almost knows it. Like you need to go play around golf. It's freeing for whatever reason. I've just found that to be my therapy.
Yeah.
And I come home and I'll get in the shower and be like, all right, well, what do we want to do? Let's go do something. Let me take the family out. Let's go hang out. Let's go to the water park. What do you want to do? But that's just my time. And I'll let you speak to your side of it. But
in the beginning, I got frustrated a lot, but when we were single, it was kind of like, okay, whatever, you go do your thing. And then that's when I started signing up for stuff and doing triathlons and kind of doing my own thing, right? So he'd be gone, I'd be gone. Now with the kids, it's like, dude, you'll be gone for between 4 to 6 hours, depending on if the golf course is an hour away, that's an hour commute there, an hour commute back. So in the beginning, I was not as understanding, but I realized that this is his outlet. He really needs it. And it's like his me time. Everybody needs me time, So we kind of trade off. He goes to play golf, and then, I get my hours as well. And so we've kind of balanced it like that, to say that it's just essential, for him to be the man that he is, the husband that he is. This is the time he needs. And as long as he doesn't go overboard, because last weekend you went overboard.
Yeah.
He played golf on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I had to say, hold up, that's 3 days in a row.
I had planned this out, right? So
he said, I'm gonna book you a spa day, hon. It's
I'm gonna book you
okay.
a spa day. I got our daughter a babysitter for the night.
He did.
So we went to breakfast Saturday. I played golf during work hours on Friday. And then Saturday we went to breakfast. I played golf. We had a very nice dinner at Del Frisco's. We had a very nice evening. I woke up, I played Sunday. I went to get our daughter, and then it was her time to go to the spa. We ended up hanging out with family for most of the day, but it was part of my plan.
Strategic, huh?
He's back there on the drive thinking of a master plan.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So Nitra, what do you do for like your own self-care?
You know, it's a good question. Right now with this pregnancy, it's been kind of rough for me. So I'm just trying to make it. Honestly, that's it. I haven't been doing anything right now, which is kind of sad, but I've been just telling myself that when the baby comes, I'll get back into it. But self-care for me is honestly either going to the spa or him just taking my daughter and being out the house and giving me that ability to rest and relax, not have to do like run around after a
Right.
1-year-old. So that's really what I do for me and my self-care. And he does a good job. He takes her to the driving range and they spend the day out there. I'm like, fine, that's fine. Pack her up. Here's her bag. You guys have a good time. So that's kind of how we manage that. Yeah. But right now it's just me just making it through the, well, how many months I got left? 4 more months. And me just making it through these 4 more months is all I'm worried about right now.
You know, I remember you saying, so you were from Miami, Nitra,
Mhm.
and Chris, you're from Louisville. I'm sorry, East St. Louis.
Yes.
And I did notice how you placed the emphasis on East.
Yes. Uh-oh.
I'll be right back.
Baby away.
Baby alarm. But I recognize how you were able to, with you two both, okay, working and I know the baby wasn't there when you were traveling, but in coming together, so you guys are, I think you said in the Carolinas.
Yes.
Any family in the Carolinas?
No, and that's one of the biggest challenges that we face, because when we were traveling in New Jersey, she kept saying, I want to get off the road. I want to get off the road. And then we found a place. Oh, we can get into a long story. You want to get into a long story. So we actually got pregnant in, I think, around our wedding. We found out we were pregnant the first time.
On our honeymoon, we found out we were pregnant.
Yeah, on the honeymoon. And so our first daughter was born in 2016, March 1st. And then she ended up having a genetic disorder, and that required us to have a place. We were in Charlotte at the time, and they were like, where are we going to drop off the oxygen machine and the feeding tube and the heart monitor? And we were like, wait.
Because we were living in corporate housing.
Yeah, we don't have
like
a place to do this stuff. So we ended up getting an apartment, and then that's what got us off of the road. That's what started our journey in Charlotte. And we've been in Charlotte ever since. Now we have some cousins who've now become our very close brother and sister almost, but that's it. It's just us. My family's 11 hours away. Her family is 11 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just us and the Masons. That's our close family and friends.
Yeah.
And I know that when we first met, that was something that we had talked about. Nitra brought it up, and our interest was like, how do you deal with the challenges that come with having a child with the genetic disorder? If it's okay with you, can you tell the story?
Yeah. Okay. Man, there's no manual that mentally prepares you for that. And being that we were newlyweds, found out on our honeymoon, we were so excited, having this baby, going to doctor, going to checkups, never realized anything was wrong. Recording the morning of in the delivery room, so happy this is about to be it. And when your baby comes out and he's blue and not breathing and they rush her off and you're wondering, wait a minute, this is not how it happens in the movies. What's going on? No one's talking to me. And I feel like ever since that day, our lives just changed like instantaneously. And I can't even describe the emotion of trying to comprehend in the midst of all that, like what is actually happening. And it took us about a week before we were really told what was wrong with our baby, and that she did have a genetic abnormality, and she was diagnosed with trisomy 5P, which just means she had an extra chromosome of number 5. And it's not named like Down syndrome is extra chromosome of number 21, but so many people get it, so they named it Down syndrome. Trisomy 5P is so rare, it doesn't have a name, so they just call it the medical name. And then trying to comprehend what all that meant. I just knew that we went home and we had, like he said, oxygen machine, heart monitor machine. She was not able to eat on her own, so we had a feeding machine. And our little apartment turned in from a regular apartment to basically like a hospital room, and overnight had to learn how to become like a nurse to do all these things, and not knowing, well, what does this mean? Is my child going to be okay? Is one day, she's going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and basically being told every day that we don't know enough about this genetic disorder, and we just got to take it day by day, and whatever happens kind of happens. And that's the worst answer you can get from a doctor.
Right.
And
Yeah.
in a new marriage, I'm falling apart. He's trying to be a husband and supportive, and I don't know. There are no words to describe that whole situation, the amount of stress.
Yeah.
And I have to say that experience, combined with our friendship, has made our marriage what it is today. After going through something like that, and you make it to the other side,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I could have done that with anyone else. And
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was mentally hard. It was physically hard. Just being what I call team no sleep. Like those first 3 months of a newborn is hard enough, but then you went from not having a care in the world to my world just fell apart.
Yeah.
And as a husband, your wife is up in the middle of the night researching everything she could, and then she's looking at me like, well, why aren't you the same way? Why aren't you as interested in researching like I am? And I was like, because you're doing it. So why do I need to do it too?
Right.
I'm trying to make sure everything else is taken care of. And we were arguing about who's doing the most research or who cares the most. And I'm like, we got so much more to worry about than what Google has to say about the situation. And then it just, in taking that on, and now you have your personal, individual excitement turn to disappointment. You got work stress, you got family stress, you got a baby you need to take care of, and then you have relationship, and then you have family who's disappointed, but they want to know everything that's going on, and they have their thoughts and their opinions and their remedies and beliefs, and you're just dealing with everybody else while you're trying to understand and go through it yourself. And it was difficult.
I think the worst part for me was everyone kept saying it's gonna be okay. It's in God's hands. It's gonna be okay. No doubt about it's in God's hands. Believe that 100%.
Right.
But that thing of people telling you it's gonna be okay, when it's like, you don't know the answer to that.
Right.
You don't know it's gonna be okay.
Right.
You don't know what this feels like. And no one really wanted to accept the facts of what was happening, the facts that something was really wrong, and that this was going to be a long journey, a hard journey. And you're already going through it, and then someone's kind of putting you in denial, as in, don't make a big deal out of it. She's fine. And it's like, no,
she's not.
not fine. And I think that anger just made me even more upset, going through postpartum depression. I mean, all of that piled up on a new marriage.
That was hard. One of the other things was the comments of just do this, or you should have done this, or did you do that?
What did you do during your pregnancy to make this? You must have done this.
If you didn't do it the right way, you might.
When it was something that happened at conception that before I even knew I was pregnant, it was there. It's nothing I could have done to prevent it. Just the ignorance of people.
We're all passionate about it. We have so much to say about this, but it was a very difficult time.
It was hard.
And she lived for 5 months and 7 days, and she passed. And then going through that, and I think we both swore off children for
a long time.
Like, I ain't never going through that again. Because can you imagine? I didn't know anything was wrong. There was nothing that would have insinuated anything was wrong. And now you want me to go through this again?
Sorry, I think I'm just hormonal right now.
No,
you want me to go through it again? Like 9 months of anxiety and just curiosity. So that's where we were. That's where we are. But we're here. We survived. We have a beautiful daughter and one on the way.
Yeah.
Then we're done.
I'm done. I'm done.
She said, I'm done. That's it.
It's a tragic yet beautiful story. a testament to your covenant, because on one hand, when somebody's saying that, God's in control, God's got this, and you can, affirming like, yes, it does. And maybe it wasn't that situation. And I'm not going to say everything happens for a reason, because sometimes I get the sentiment,
Mhm.
but sometimes just hearing that just makes you want to punch somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You lose a testimony just that quick.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you can share with, because there's couples out there that go through that, but they don't talk about it. They don't share that the highs, the lows, the plateaus, the
pain.
devastation.
Yeah.
How everybody has to deal with it on their own, but what would you say to a couple that's dealing with that type of difficulty in their relationship and in parenting and in marriage?
I'll start and I'll mention two things that I would say. The first thing is you have to work with your partner, your spouse, being that mom, dad, grandma, granddad, auntie, brother, cousin, everybody gonna have their comments and thoughts and try to give you advice. Cool, but you have to work with your spouse, and you have to allow your spouse. Here's my second point. First point, work with your spouse. That's your number one partner. The second point that I would say, which I think helped us, is I'll physically show, like, create a barrier around your spouse and allow your spouse to go through those emotions in that barrier. Meaning things come up, like the mental thought come up, the doubt, the wonder, the questions, the frustration, the anger, all of that comes up. And I did not want to be the spouse to say, what you are experiencing is natural. That thought is an absolutely natural thought, but you shouldn't think that way. No, think it. Let's talk about it. What if? You want to be upset? Let's be upset. You want to be frustrated? Be frustrated. Go through those emotions. I have you. Just go through it. Cry, be angry, yell, scream, doubt. Think about worst case scenario. Think about best case scenario. Let's do it without any judgment. I did not put that judgment on her. I did not. She said some things, and I was like, okay, wow, all right. But that did not cloud my judgment. That did not change my opinion of her. I had to allow her to go through that on her own, because if I put more pressure on her, now she feels even more isolated in those thoughts. And so for me, it would be those two things. You have that support system, but my spouse was number one. And two, as a spouse, allow your spouse to go through those emotions and those thoughts without any judgment.
And I would say that experience made me trust my husband on a whole nother level. He's right. I was, like I said, severely depressed, going through a lot. I was going through those thoughts of, honey, I honestly don't know if I can do this. Am I strong enough to do this? Am I strong enough to make it? And I would say one thing, Chris never wavered. He said, regardless, we're her parents and we're going to be there. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. He gave me that reassurance all the time. I said, but I'm reading online these articles, and 80% of people who have children with disabilities end up getting divorced, or they don't make it, or they can become bankrupt because of the surgeries and things like that. And I'm just thinking all kind of thoughts, and how are we going to navigate and how are we going to manage? And I'm just worrying. And my husband never wavered. He said, we're gonna, whatever it is, we're gonna make it. And he just kept saying, and I'm not going anywhere. And, those are real thoughts. We should think about those things, but don't let it overwhelm you. And I remember he told me, take it day by day. You're her mother. Be a mother. Love her. Do whatever we need to do. And just take it one day at a time. Don't think about what's going to happen when, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. Just take it one day at a time. And he never judged me. He never made me feel like, how could you feel that way? Or how could you say that? He was just understanding and opening. And some days I didn't get out the bed at all. Some days I just sat there and cried all day, because it was kind of like, I felt like God had forsaken us. Like, why would this happen to my daughter? Why would he do this to me? And Chris just kind of changed my viewpoint. Like, this isn't something he did to you, this didn't come down on you. This is life. And sometimes life has its ups and downs, and we just have to deal with it. And I remember he just kept saying that. It's just something we have to do. We have to deal with it. We have to go through it. But I'm here by your side. And him telling me that and having that reassurance and that validation took the fear away.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, we can do this. I can do this. My husband says we can do it. Now I believe we can do it. But until he said it, I didn't know we were going to make it. I didn't know if it was possible. Was I going to be a single mother, trying to do all these things? And that reassurance was everything. It was truly everything. And it set my foundation for my trust in my husband, to know that whatever life may throw at us as a couple, I know that this man is not going anywhere. I know that he's going to be there. I know he's my number one supporter. And I'll never doubt that from that day on. Like, I'll never doubt that. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
I said the words.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
She used to wake up and be like, when she turns 16, we're going to have to put, I'm like, 16?
She's only 1 month old.
We're about 16.
Oh my goodness.
That is so funny. But you know what? I'm sorry.
Go
ahead. I just, it's very touching and it's very moving. And thank you for sharing that, not just with us, but with everyone. There's lessons in that, what you just said, because not only when you think about parents that have children with disabilities, how their relationship ends, but also a lot of parents end up getting divorced when they lose a child, because they can't, like Chris, you were saying, create that barrier. They grieve, but they grieve separately, and they don't come together and grieve. So the fact that you all were able to just keep it together. I mean, you guys have only been married for 7 years, but y'all old souls. I mean, really, y'all dropping some nuggets and everything,
It's been a ride, I tell you. It's been a ride. But again, going back to the friendship part of it as well, like this is my friend and I don't want to hurt her. Like, I'll be devastated if I hurt her. So that was one of the biggest things is, I was in my feelings about it as well. And I was disappointed as well. But at the end of the day, we had to do this together. Like, me going and talking to somebody else and getting advice and going back to the whole, like, this is what I think you should say, or this is what I think you should do. We're not talking. We need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And so that really helped.
That's good.
And all I can think about is, it goes back to your vows. Experiencing life together.
Yeah.
And all that it has. And that's just beautiful. And I truly believe that for the listeners that are able to participate, put this on rewind, get there and listen to this, because it's not about if you're going to go through some stuff in your marriage.
It's when.
It's when.
Absolutely. And
what
the words, look, the words dropped on us today, it's beautiful. And it's, man, we're talking about wisdom. I mean, you're giving knowledge, but it's, wisdom is knowledge applied, right? And acted upon. And I think that these are nuggets that you're sharing with our entire listenership, to where, and us as well, because in different seasons, you are going to go through different things. And I just want to say thank you for blessing us with your story, with your friendship, to make sure, even though we were stalking you and your baby in Jamaica.
Lovey was like, can you leave them alone? They are going to think you are crazy. I was like, no, the mom smiled, so it's okay.
I did not think that at all. I appreciate it. Yes.
It was an honor to meet you all, because I would tell you, she was like, wait a minute, they part of that whole group over there. Like, I want to do that. I want to bring all these people in and have this big party and do all this. I said, all right then.
Look, if we would have met you sooner, we would have had you right there with us.
Sure would have been like, y'all, come on. Yeah, no, it was, that was an experience too, to be able to go somewhere, but to be able to go somewhere with a large crowd, and have fun. But that's the good thing about Jamaica. We was like, okay, we tired of y'all. We finna go over here. We didn't have to sit and look at them all day.
Amen. Especially the older ones, we was like, okay, y'all need to go to bed. We're going to club.
Right.
No,
and we didn't see anything up. We would wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, like, oh man, looked like they had a good time at this resort last night. They put up those lights. That looked like it would have been a nice evening.
Any of the nightlife, but it's okay.
Next trust me, you might think differently of me had you been around. No, but it was a good time. You know what? And it's funny. You just never know who you're going to meet in passing. And we truly value the opportunity to get to know you and to maintain contact, talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the patience. I know we we're going to do it this day and then had to reschedule and things come up, but we appreciate you all and your patience as well. I was adamant about doing it. It's just the time delay and the schedule, and here we are to left. And I know she's ready to go to bed, but I do appreciate you all.
Thank you. Well, in parting, I'm not going to keep you up any longer.
I'm just saying, you're pregnant. I
get it, and we appreciate you. I just want to, and before you leave, how can our listeners support and learn more about Greenwood Golf?
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. We're online at greenwood.golf, www.greenwood.golf. And I would say this, if I may, I call the company Greenwood because really Tulsa, Oklahoma and Tulsa, Mississippi, actually, before the riot, Greenwood, the district in Tulsa, was a community of people that came together to support each other. And it didn't matter what your profession was, you were in Greenwood to support that community. And when I look across the guys that I play golf with, it doesn't matter what their profession is. We're there to have a good time, to compete, to have a therapy session, to be mentors, mentees, and it all. So I wanted to create a brand that represented that. And that's why we called it Greenwood Golf. And we're online. We were the first company to have a Black-owned golf ball.
Okay.
It's our signature Greenwood golf ball. We have hats and shirts. And so please, if you play golf, check us out. We are online. We would love your support. Instagram, Greenwood_golf. Twitter, Greenwood Golf. And Facebook, Greenwood Golf Brand. But yeah, we would love your support. Have any questions, reach out to us. But thank you for that opportunity. I'm very excited about it, having some great conversations about it as well.
It's fantastic. And hearing you talk about that, first off, we're going to make sure that all of those are in our show notes so people can click on them and then pass through. But I'm going to hit you up offline. I'm going to provide another connect. I know I put you and Jairus in touch with each other.
Yes.
But there's another gentleman he was a past guest on here as well, Devon. And they have a board game, and it's called
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street.
Really?
Board game.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
It's featured in Essence magazine. They do a pilgrimage, if you will, every year back to Tulsa, and they do a lot of things involved, just raising awareness of Black Wall Street. The whole game is built around that, and I just feel like there's something there.
Yes.
Where I need to get you two together.
Yes, please do. Thank you for that.
No worries. Well, like we always say, until the next time.
Wait, first of all, let me just say thank you guys for being our guests on the show. I mean, it is so good to just talk to y'all and see y'all. You guys are such a beautiful couple. I mean, I know it was the baby that drawn me to y'all, but you guys are really a beautiful couple, and we just really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I was low key hoping we would see the baby, but I know it's a little late.
She had to go to bed. She was on another level today.
It's on 10.
It's bad when the mother's like, I'm done, and then the dad's like, I guess I gotta soldier out this one for the rest of the day. And then she gets on your nerves, and you're like, well, I can't take her back to the mom. So we got to make this work today.
So we gotta have to thug it out.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. So she went to bed. I think we both said, good.
Agree.
Right.
So we might be keeping you off from that glass of wine or Chardonnay, that nightcap before you go to start the day again.
Oh, yep. But yeah, like I said, anytime we would love to speak to you again. We'll give you an update when the
Yes.
next baby
Thank you
girl
for
come
having
out.
us.
Yes,
Of course.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.
I was saying, to the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
absolutely.